What is up, people? Now we are back on another mod to the camper van, race van. I call them race vans because he's for racing. People call them camper vans because he's for camping. So, as you know, I am a sucker for punishment. Everything I do, the chassis, the cars, the racing, someone else's spec is not Matt's spec. So, she gets out of hand really quick and I end up just, I'm terrible. I fucking hate it, I really do. So, what I'm going to show you to do in this one is, I'll put a picture of the bits, some of the bits we've got for this van. We've got two skylights. We've got skylights. We've got a full-size window with blinds. We've got a roof vent for the toilets. We've got a rear twin camera and a 7-inch monitor. And we've got the Vista Plus. This is the 570, the slightly better digital aerial to go in. So I'm just a sucker for punishment. So I started taking the van apart and it's just got a little bit more and more. So anyway, what we're going to do is today I'm going to show you how I came up with, just ignore this, this is me getting out of freaking hand. Skylight. These are the fan controlled ones. Ignore the clicking. That's the solar panels because the batteries are out, and that battery is now charging that battery, the big battery, and it's full. So that's just tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Right, so it is in. And what I'm going to do is take it back out and show you what you've got to do to put it in. Yes, ideally it would be there, as you can see my mark. But I'll show you that in a bit, why I've had to move it offset. Right then, ready. So, these are my ones that I've brought. Now, these are off eBay. I'll put a link in the description. Because I was told about these, and for the money, they're really, really quite tidy. Don't get me wrong, they're not £500 ones. These are like 85 quid each. So you've got fan, but it's a full-size fan. It's not the one with the small fan and all the open. So this, you can open it and use it as a normal vent, but you can also intake and exhaust. But it's a full-size fan. So it's moving all the air, not partial air. And you've got your knob here. This is for what takes this up and down. Right, I'll just show you. What you got is you got your little knob. It turns. And there is your fan setup. So it's a full size. It's not partial. Where some of them just got partial. And you just close it down, it seals. Cheap, but simple. I looked at some of them and they were a lot of money. And I was like, I ain't putting that into this van. So, you have your skylight. So, when you buy this, you'll buy these. Maybe these. You will also need some of these. These were also off eBay. But these are just for the Fiat Ducato. So if you put in Fiat Ducato Skylight, these will come up. But I'll put a link in the description anyway. I brought 2 sets. There's another 2 somewhere because I got 8. So they're somewhere in here. Because I brought 2 skylights. So I brought 4 for each. Yeah? So you need these as well. You will also need this stuff. Silicaflex. Sikaflex. Whatever it is. This is what everybody uses. You can get the stuff with the proper motorhome on it. But it's exactly the same. This is £10 a tube from Screwfix. The proper one with the motorhome on it is £20 a tube. Go figure. So this, it's an adhesive sealant, but it's flexible. It doesn't dry hard. It's for interior and exterior use, and it's a filler. So, yeah, this stuff. I got this from Screwfix today. I will put the number on the screen now for it. Yeah, so you've got that, You will also need some timber. See, this is what people don't tell you. Oh, buy a skylight, put it in. It's not that simple. You need to build a frame, a window frame, and you need to build it for your windows as well as your skylights. So, for the window frame, I used wood, B&Q, just normal wood, yeah? And this is 21 by, it's not going to show you, it's 21 by 36, yeah? So 21 by 36. I wanted 1 inch, 25, but they don't do it. For some reason, it's 21. And then you're going to make a frame. Like this. Ta-da! So we are 21 deep. Yeah? 36 wide. And the way you're going to get your measurements, no matter what you are making, whether it's for a frame or for one of these, you're going to flip it over. Yeah? Like so. Your tape measure that I've left all over here. And give it a touch. Look down a touch. So this measurement here, from there to there, is the size of the hole you're going to cut in your roof. Plus 5mm. Don't go too tight. Plus 5mm. So that there, for me, is 280. So I went 285. So I've cut 2 lengths at 285, right? But then, because you've got this, if I cut all 4 at 285, you're going to have a square missing. So you've got to add 36 and 36. Yeah? So we've got our little maths table, haven't we? Obviously, workbench. I cut 2 at 285 and 2 at 357. And that gave me my square. Just fits over there. Like that. Yeah? And you can see why I wanted the 25. It's that little bit of extra, but that's not really that important. Okay? So we've got our frame. Fits good? Okay? So then what you'll do is we need to cut a hole in the roof of the van. So, off to the van, James. Right then. So, we have our square piece of wood. And we have our ceiling. Now normally you'll put it in the middle. But see this bolt? That is my solar panel foot. So to move that bolt, I've got to undo all the panel, remove the panel so it goes across, recable it, and I'm like, I ain't doing that. I'm going to put it here. So we have our square piece of wood, right? So you need to find the center of where you want to put it, which is like here for me, because you want to go in the center of these. Those white things are to fill this void on the outside. Yeah? So when you're screwing down your actual fitting, it's got something to sit against on these gaps. And that's what you need the sealer for as well, to seal all those in. So those white things fill those gaps. But you're going to get your piece of wood, you're going to centralize it, and you're going to mark the corners like that with a marker pen. It is a bit tricky on your own, so you're going to mark 4 corners, and then you're going to drill up, right? Then you're going to get on the roof, you're going to join the dots with the pen and a grinder and cut it out. Then you end up with a hole, and at this point you think, fucking hell, got a hole in the roof of my van here. But then you've got your square. You will then need to shape your square to fit the internal contours of your van, right? So then you end up with a piece of wood that fits to the contours of your van. It's pretty simple to move the marks, well, to make it fit. Because all you use is the white things that go on the inside, yeah, You've got to transfer them onto... So the white things we're putting on the top, you need to put on there. Watch, I will show you. So you can see my marks, yeah? Little pen. That is just so I can locate where the thing is on the roof. And then you get yourself one of these white things. That's where you've got to cut away. I did make them a touch bigger, just to allow for the thickness of the steel. You get me? That is all you are cutting away. So once you've found the position of the roof, because the roof's like that, isn't it? Just get one of these, draw around it, give it a few mil either way, just to allow you a little bit of give, and cut them out. I cut them out on that saw. Yeah, so you've got 4 of them. Doesn't really matter how much bigger they are, as long as they fit flush. Yeah? And then that's your frame. You could do that with a handsaw, you could do it with a jigsaw, you could do it with any kind of saw you liked. So then that is the inside of the roof. Just like that. See? So you've got to make a frame. Same with the window frame. With the window frame, you don't have to cut away these shapes because it's just going to the side, flat side of a van. Right, so we've got our frame, which is cut to that size. We've notched it. We have our white things for the outside. What you want to do also is you see how all these are drilled. Yeah. I drilled them with this, which is, I can't remember what size this was. I think it was a 3mm. Where's my drill bit? So 2.9 is this size drill bit, which is the right size for the screws I've picked, which are these from B&Q. I don't know. It's like a 5mm by 25mm. There is actually no part number or anything on them. You might be able to get something out of there if you understand what any of this stuff means. I don't know. It's not going to focus anyway, so there you go. So I went with these because they're like a button head. Yeah. So it spread the load better around the plastic. Now coated for external use. So they shouldn't rust. We should be all good. And I went with the 25mm because we've got to go through the plastic, through the roof, and then through the wood, without sticking out. So once the plastic and the steel is there, we should be good. So you've drilled all these out at 2.9. That's if you're using the screws I'm using. Then you're going to go up on the roof, put this in the roof in the right orientation, with the hinge facing the front of the van. Yeah? And then you're going to drill 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the steel of the van. Then you're going to open the plastic up to a 3.9mm on those 4. Then get this screwed to the steel using 4 screws just to hold it in place. Then with your 2.9, drill all the rest of the holes. Yeah? Take it off, then open all the rest of the holes up to the 3.9. Then all your mounting holes are done, ready to go. So this goes on the outside of the van, obviously, and this goes on the inside of your van. Now I haven't put any holes in this because I only want to do it once. Because if you put a screw in and take a screw out, then put a screw in, it's never as strong as the first time you put it in because you haven't got the, what's it called? You haven't got the, when the wood's grabbing the screw for the first time, it's like that stretch. So yeah, we'll leave that until we are ready like to put it in the van. So now what we need to do is we need to glue this to the ceiling of the van. But I'm on my own. I've got to be able to hold it up with the sealer on and then put this on with these in, with the sealer on and all this. So I might wait until tomorrow as I've only got about another half an hour before I have to get ready for work. So, to recap, we have made a square. We have recessed the square to accommodate for the shape of the internal roof. Yeah? And these go on the outside of where that roof is, if you get me. Yeah? So you have to cut those out. So we have our internal frame, we have our external roof. This is the finishing ring to these to this. So that goes up inside itself. I'll show you on this one. Yeah? And these got LED lights. Oh, maybe I've got dirty hands. These got all LED lights around, which is controlled by this. And this is where you get your extension for your ceiling. Say if you've got an inch ceiling, once this is on there, and then you've got an inch ceiling on top of that, this is where you get, you know, your gap for your ceiling. Yeah, and this just screws up to your ceiling. You get me? So what we need to do is we need to fit all of this. But what I might do is leave that to tomorrow. Yeah? So we're going to carry on with this tomorrow. Right then, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to cover this in that Siliflex, whatever it's called. I'm going to put it up and I'm going to clamp it with my clamps. Yeah? And let that go off. That way, I can do the top bit without having to hold the bottom bit at the same time. So I'm going to coat this in that Sikaflex, whatever it's bloody called. And by the way, I've deburred all the holes as well. Yeah, cleaned it with Scotch-Brite as well, so it's got something a bit better to bond to. So I'm going to cover that in gooey stuff, and we're going to clamp it up there with all the clamps I own. Right, let's get some goo on there, shall we? So, we've got a nice bead all the way around. That is all you need, because this is going to spread. It hasn't got to be watertight, because the one on the outside is the watertight. This is literally just to hold it there and seal it. Yeah? Here's my front mark for a front. And we're going to get it up there and get it in place. Yeah? It hasn't got to be bang on in place straight away, because we can slide it about, because it's basically silicone, isn't it? Yeah? We'll get some torque on it. Let's come back a touch. Yeah. Touch more, I think. Just get it, you know, close enough. This is why we allowed the 5mm. Yeah? So we can tweak. It would have been too tight a tolerance. You start getting yourself into the trouble where your stuff doesn't fit. Yeah? And these are just cheap clamps off eBay. These ain't nothing special. But they work well because I've used them on my chassis. And if I can deal with my chassis table work, I can deal with squashing a little bit of wood. Yeah. These ones over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what I'm going to do is I will show you what I'm going to do. Come here, my phone. You see these gaps between the steel and the wood, either side, the slopes. I'm going to infill those gaps with goo. All of them. Just to make sure it's, sorry, as good as I can get it. So I'm going to squirt some goo in there, then give it a final torque down, and we're going to leave it. Obviously not as a whole, I'm going to cover it up on the outside. So by tomorrow, that should be solid enough where I don't need another person to help me. You get me? Right. As you can see, we've got a couple of clamps on there. So now I've also got some blocks of wood on the outside to help keep this square. But now we have got a nice bead and we've got sealant coming out most of the way around. But we've had it come out all the way around on the inside. So what I've done is you can't really see, but I've smoothed it all the way around just to seal it up. And then whatever sticks over, I can just trim off with a blade. See? Clamps galore. But we've got sealer coming all the way around and it's coming through all the screw holes, which is a decent sign that we are sealing where all the screws are going to be. Yeah, man, because this stuff will stick to the screws and pull into the thread, see? So yeah, just leave it like that now. And it'll be dry tomorrow. See you in the morning. Right. So now we have our hole. We're all sealed, solid, all the way around now because we've glued the wood all the way around. So the wood's giving the roof a lot of body. So what we need to do, we need to clean off all the sealer that has come out through the holes all around the edge, because we want a nice smooth edge for the sealer to go on. It's going to seal the skylight. That's what you need to get. You need to get a good solid base around here, and then these things fill these gaps. See? And we've got to drill through. I'll oversize the holes in these because I don't want these to pull up on the screw and then create a gap underneath. So yeah, we're going to clean this up, get rid of all this extra sealer. Then I'm going to drill these through 2.7, which is smaller than the hole that's in there now. And the way I worked out the 2.7, it's the size of what you call it, the shank going down the middle. This is just undersized, so all we've got is the threads sticking out, so we're not going to have any chance of breaking the wood. Yeah, so we're going to 2.7 them straight through. Right, I'll get this cleaned up. Right, we are done. My phone rang, I didn't realise I didn't press re-record, but all I've done is I've driven the screws down a little bit with that and then finished them off. I ended up getting this because it's a better Phillips, better fit. And we drove the screws down. You don't want to drive them down too much because you don't want to dish-shape the plastic. Yeah, you just want to slowly bring them all down, keep going around until you get a little bit of silicone coming out. And when the silicone starts coming out, you're tight enough. There's no point, you just keep cranking and cranking. Then run your finger all the way around, get it nice and smoothed out. Pay more attention to the front of the van this way. So all I've done is I've put a load of silicone in there, all this stuff, and smoothed it out because you're going to get driving rain in this side, so you want to make sure it's nice and smooth. The back, not so much. The back can just be square. Yeah, that's it. We have fitted our first skylight. I have got another one to go down the front, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to fit it yet because I need the van pretty soon. So, on to the next job, fitting the window. But that'll be in the next one. Catch you later, people.